Hello, my name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. It's a terrific afternoon to look at the world view today. Here are the top stories we've gathered for you. Russia launches series of missiles at Ukrainian cities in second pre-dawn attack in 3 days. UN holds crucial Afghanistan talks in Qatar without Taliban. Pope Francis urges Hungarians to open doors to migrants. The details of these stories and more in a moment. View today, Russia has launched a series of missiles at Ukrainian cities in the second pre-dawn attack in 3 days. Pavlorad, a logistics hub near the central city of Dnipro, was hit ahead of a much-anticipated counter-offensive by Ukraine. The strike sparked a major fire, destroyed dozens of houses, and wounded 34 people. But hours later, the air raid alert sounded across the country, with the capital, Kiev, among the targets. Across the significant damage was in Pavlorad, a city in Ukrainian-held territory around 70 miles from the front line. Pictures posted on social media showed a massive blaze. One resident, Olha Letevnenko, said she was getting dressed to leave their house when both doors were smashed out by the explosion wave. Meanwhile, still in war in Ukraine, an explosion in the Russian border. An explosive device went off along the Bryansk-Yanancha line, 60 kilometers from Ukraine. Russian railways said the incident, which occurred at about 10:17 Moscow time, saw the locomotive catch fire and 7 freight wagons derailed. The train was reportedly carrying oil products and timber, but no injuries were reported. Away from that now, the Taliban has not been invited to a United Nations organized conference on Afghanistan in Doha, with the Afghan group governing the South Asian country saying that the two donors and key neighbors such as Pakistan are among the representatives from about 25 countries and groups called to the 2 days of closed-door talks by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in the Qatari capital. Now, last week, the UN chief said the isolation. A UN source told media that Taliban recognition was not on the agenda. His statement came after members of the Afghan diaspora and some Western countries expressed concerns against the possible recognition of the government of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, as the Taliban refers to the country, in the wake of a statement by UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed. In an open letter on Sunday, a coalition of Afghan women's groups said they were outraged by that any country would consider formal ties because of the. Now, in war-torn Sudan, airstrikes pounded the country's capital, Khartoum, despite a truce aimed at allowing civilians to flee. The army said it was attacking the city to flush out its paramilitary rivals, the Rapid Support Forces (RSF). The fighting intensified even as the warring side said they would extend the truce by another 3 days. More than 500 deaths have been reported, with the true number of casualties believed to be much higher. Millions remain trapped in Khartoum. Hemedti are vying for power and disagree in particular about plans to include the RSF into the army. The generals agreed a humanitarian truce after intensive diplomatic efforts by neighboring countries, the US, UK, and UN. It was extended but did not hold. However, it remains unclear on what they will do in the next stage of the deal arrived at with US and Saudi mediation. According to the army, Sudanese businessmen and philanthropists orders and become regional. The separate development now, former US President Donald Trump has said this great to be home as he arrived in Aberdeen on a visit to his Scottish golf properties. It is Trump's first visit to the UK since 2019. After leaving office, he is expected to attend a ceremony to open a new course at his Aberdeenshire resort, Trump International, Scotland. Trump, whose mother is from the Isle of Lewis, sparked a security office court action in the United States. Earlier this month, he pled not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records. He is also facing a civil trial over an allegation that he raped an advice columnist nearly 3 decades ago. Trump, who is running for the White House again in 2024, is visiting Scotland as a private individual. It is understood there is no requirement on the Scottish or UK governments to pay for special security. Now, the head of Mexico's Migration Authority, Francisco Garduno, has been charged in connection with a deadly fire at a migrant center in Ciudad Juarez on 27 March. 40 migrants from Central and South America died behind bars when smoke cell door. Garduno is the most senior official to be charged over the fire. The deadly blaze caused outrage and raised questions about the handling of the treatment of migrants by the Mexican authorities. In Turkey now, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has announced that Turkish forces have killed the suspected leader of the Islamic State IS group in Syria. Abu Hussein al-Quraishi is said to have taken over the group after his predecessor was killed last autumn. Erdogan told media the IS leader was neutralized in a Turkish MIT intelligence agency operation on Saturday. IS has so far made verify President Erdogan's claim, but according to Erdogan, the MIT intelligence agency had been following Quraishi for a long time. Away from that, Pope Francis has urged Hungarians to open doors to migrants, ending his visit to the country led by a nationalist anti-immigration cabinet. Speaking at an open-air mass in the capital, Budapest, the pontiff said it was sad and painful to see doors closed to people who were unlike us, building a barbed wire border fence to stop migrants crossing into Hungary. Addressing the crowd near the Hungarian Parliament building on Sunday, Pope Francis pleaded to everyone, including those with political and social responsibilities, to be more open. He was speaking about the closed doors of its termed selfishness with regard to others, the doors closed towards those who were foreign or unlike us, in quote, towards migrants 2022. He prayed for the beleaguered Ukrainian people and the Russian people and for a future of hope, not war. After the break, Santiago Pena of Paraguay's ruling conservative Colorado Party has won the presidential election, beating a center-left challenger. Do stay with us for details on this and more right after the break. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people burst in from across the island to fill Havana's Revolution Square on International Workers' Day. It is the first time since the 1959 revolution that the celebrations have been cancelled for economic reasons. In recent weeks, long queues have formed at petrol stations, with drivers often waiting for days. Earlier this month, President Miguel Diaz-Canel said Cuba was only receiving 2/3 of the fuel it needs, adding that suppliers were failing to fulfill contractual obligations, while Cuba's higher quality crude from Venezuela, Cuba's largest provider of fuel, have dropped by 50% in recent years. Analysts say Venezuela is experiencing severe problems itself and finds it increasingly difficult to subsidize its socialist ally. Web challenger. With almost all ballots counted, Penner, an economist, got more than 42%, electoral officials had said. Now, Efren Allegri, candidate of the Concertación Nacional coalition, had nearly 28%. He later admitted defeat. The Colorado Party has dominated the political scene in the landlocked Penner, aged 44, thanked supporters for what he termed Colorado victory and Paraguayan victory. He also called for nationwide unity and consensus. Paraguay's economy is expected to grow by more than 4% this year, but the country has relatively high levels of poverty and corruption. Away from there, pathologists in Kenya have begun autopsies on more than 100 bodies. This is according to officials. 109 followers of the Good News International Church, based in the Shakahola forest of eastern Kenya, are known to have died. Authorities have recovered 101 bodies from shallow graves since April 21, while 8 cult members were found alive but died later. So far, 44 people have been rescued. Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki said on Friday that children are from those who had reported missing relatives and would do the matching in a process that would take at least a month. Kindiki further said the autopsies will look at all possibilities, including whether some bodies had missing organs. In a separate development, a journalist from the Al Jazeera network has been freed in Egypt 4 years after he was arrested. This is according to the Qatari media organization. Hisham Abdelaziz was detained in 2019, reportedly on suspicion of belonging to a terrorist group. He was subsequently freed, then rearrested. The broadcaster quoted Aziz's family as saying he was back at home in Cairo. He is one of several Al Jazeera staff arrested in Egypt since the current leadership following mass protests. Rights groups say that since then, tens of thousands of people have been arrested in a crackdown on dissent. Many have been accused of links to the banned Islamist Muslim Brotherhood movement, which Egypt has accused Al Jazeera of supporting. Abdelaziz, according to Al Jazeera, was arrested at Cairo airport on his arrival from Qatar, where he was based. He was on his way to see his family. Now in business, JP Morgan Chase has taken in a statement that First Republic Bank had collapsed on Monday. Investment banking giant JP Morgan will take on all of the deposits and the majority of First Republic's assets. First Republic is the third U.S. bank to fail in recent months, which has prompted fears of wider banking crisis. $1 billion of deposits in March. It follows on from the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank SVB in March and the demise of another U.S. lender, Signature Bank. Away from that now, award-winning chef and MasterChef Australia host Jacques Zonfrillo has died suddenly, aged 46. The Scotsman worked in renowned restaurants around the world before Oprah was set to air. Zonfrillo is survived by his wife Lauren, Fried, and 4 children, who said in a statement their hearts were shattered. Zonfrillo was found dead at a house in Melbourne when police conducted a welfare check in the early hours of Monday. Now, Victoria Police said the death is not being treated as suspicious. His death and Ramsay, as well as a host of former MasterChef contestants, led the tributes. In a separate development, a wild elephant who sparked a massive debate and a legal battle in the southern Indian state of Kerala has been relocated to a tiger reserve. Killed 7 people. Locals near his original habitat had demanded his relocation for months. On Saturday, he was tranquilized and shifted to Periyar Tiger Reserve, around 80 kilometers away from a radio collar attached to him. But activists say The debate points to a larger issue of human-wildlife conflict and cannot be solved by displacing one animal. According to the last elephant census in 2017, India has close to 30,000 wild elephants, around 60% of all. Now, a recumbent believed to be more than 30 years old was a familiar sight for people who lived near the Devikulam forest in Idukki district for decades. Locals told media that earlier, when huts in the area were made of bamboo and grass, the elephant caused little damage when he came foraging for food. But as the population grew and houses made of concrete. And finally, on Worldview today, Ding Liren has become China's first men's world chess champion after defeating Russia's Ian Nepomniachtchi. Ding, aged 30, won a rapid play tiebreaker after 14 first-stage games at the World Chess Championship in Kazakhstan. He succeeds Norway's Magnus Carlsen, the five-time champion, who said he was not motivated to defend his title. Carlsen accused a U.S. opponent of cheating last year in a row that rocked the chess world. He, however, remains number one in the rankings. Now, Ding's victory makes him the 17th winner of the world. Ding said he was quite relieved after his victory. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Xavier Robert, reaching you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, and you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.